Is there a Tiffany Henyard 2.0? She's only been out of office for a few months, so it's still too early to tell. But her successor as Thornton Township Supervisor is off to an interesting start. Hi, I'm Ben Bradley. If you've followed our WGN Investigates reports for the past 2 years, you know South suburban residents have been through a lot. They picked up the tab for first-class travel, fancy meals, and more under Tiffany Henyard. When voters gave her the boot, a more seasoned politician took the reins. State Senator Napoleon Harris helped engineer her ouster and took the supervisor's job for himself.
This is the professional Democratic machine, tried and tested, and it appears that they have taken hold of Thornton Township.
Boy, 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 boy. So we got to talk about former Super Ghetto Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is no longer in public office. Yes, she is no longer the mayor of Dalton, Illinois, okay, and she's no longer the supervisor of the Thornton Township, okay. She has been removed from office, okay, after losing her elections to remain in power after all of the drama, all of the stories that we covered, and she's still dealing with some legal issues as a result of her corruption that took place while she was in office. Take a look.
Just after 2 p.m. Friday, Tiffany Henyard, the former Dalton mayor and Thornton Township supervisor, walked into circuit court.
Tiffany, do you have any thoughts about being in court today, being ordered to come to court?
We don't have any comment right now.
Friday's hearing focused on a lawsuit filed by the public interest group Edgar County Watchdogs. The organization sued the village of Dalton after Henyard's administration ignored Freedom of Information Act requests last January, seeking spending and other records. Her attorney, Bo Brinley, says Henyard doesn't have them.
She has no idea what that document was. She's going back to some board meeting where they say she held up a single piece of paper. I don't know how and could expect her to remember what that was, given how many meetings there have been and how much chaos there was in Dalton.
During court, Henyard was asked to testify, but with an ongoing FBI investigation looking into questionable spending and claims that she used her government power to retaliate against people she perceived as opponents during her time as Dalton mayor and Thornton Township supervisor, Brinley advised her to plead the fifth.
I think that's what anybody that's smart and reasonable and has a lawyer is going to do under these circumstances. She's not a public figure anymore, she's not in office, and she has every right to exercise her rights under the Constitution to protect herself.
Court documents say Henyard refused to respond to emails from last fall from Dalton Council requesting records in response to the FOIA request.
The watchdogs were looking for something pretty simple, which were some credit card bills. All my clients wanted, all the public deserved, was to be able to look at what she was waving around that said that that was canceled.
With no documents in hand, Henyard's counsel was permitted by the judge to file an affidavit.
She doesn't have it. All we have to do is advise them with an affidavit. The judge has agreed that that's fine, and we'll do it immediately.
Eventually, I think the people of Dalton asked the mayor to stop when they elected someone else, which was her real defense today, which is that she got out of this by losing an election.
A follow-up hearing is scheduled for June 11th online. Also, during today's proceedings, the judge also brought up another complaint where Tiffany Henyard, the village of Dalton, and a couple of Dalton fire and police commissioners are named as defendants. Henyard's attorney says she had no idea about this complaint and has been given time to seek counsel.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. That is Tiffany Henyard still dealing with the issues that plagued her while she was in office. Now, she is also still under FBI investigation. She has not been charged with any crime yet, okay, but she is still facing FBI investigation. But that brings us to her successor, okay, or one of her successors when it comes to the Thornton Township supervisor role and how he is now coming under fire for what appears to be the same type of corruption that got Tiffany Henyard in hot water, right? This guy, Napoleon Harris III, he is facing some backlash because just like Tiffany Henyard, he is taking a really high salary to be in his job, despite the fact that he should actually not be taking such a high salary according to the rules of this township. And he is going to be confronted by local reporters the same way they did for Tiffany Henyard on the fact that he's not following the rules of the township, and he appears to be dumbfounded. We see that the corruption here doesn't ever seem to stop when it comes to the people in this area of the country, right, around Chicago. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
WGN Investigates Payday for Tiffany Henyard's replacement in the south suburbs. The township salary ordinance says a first-term supervisor should be paid $57,000.
So why is the new supervisor still bringing home six figures? As WGN investigative reporter Ben Bradley found, the elected official's other job helped pave the way.
The guy's a former NFL player. It doesn't take two security guards. Give me a break, man.
Napoleon Harris did not appear eager to talk to me.
And how would you use your discretion to implement it within the current legal framework?
The man who replaced Tiffany Henyard as Thornton Township Supervisor has ditched the drama and much of the scrutiny.
I thought maybe we have gotten rid of the storm.
Jennifer and Paul Roberts are skeptical of Harris's leadership.
A lot of people in Thornton Township fought for transparency, accountability, and responsiveness in government, and we haven't really seen that yet.
Some of that skepticism centers on his salary.
Help me understand why you're still taking in Tiffany Henyard type money.
There's a law on the books that we cannot change anybody's salary.
How that law came to be is a lesson in political maneuvering. Tiffany Henyard made $202,000 a year, plus other perks. As a first-term supervisor, the salary ordinance said Harris was to make $57,000 plus expenses.
Don't have insurance because you two did not come and take care of your business.
As Henyard's grip on power weakened following a series of WGN Investigates reports on her spending, a lawmaker in Springfield proposed a bill to restore the higher salary structure. His name? State Senator Napoleon Harris. Even before he was elected supervisor, he was laying the groundwork to protect the perk. One problem, his bill died. It did not pass.
And is it a state law? Help me understand which law are you talking about?
It is a state law.
Because I looked up that state law and it said it didn't pass.
You cannot change a salary during the term of your term.
But that's the state law you proposed last year.
No, that's not what I proposed.
What did you propose?
That state law has been on the books. I didn't propose anything.
Not quite. Here's the language in Harris's bill, and here's the language in the one that later advanced and passed by a different legislator. It's identical. And did we mention it was buried on page 90 of a bill that began by focusing on Crohn's and colitis disease?
The original bill was to have a week devoted to highlighting the needs of Crohn's patients and their families, and it became what's known as a shell bill in Springfield that really becomes a vehicle for any legislative initiative to be shoved into it. The original intent is gutted.
Thanks to the legislative maneuver, Harris is now on track to collect a $202,000 salary from the township, plus $54,000 in expenses. Add in his $123,000 state senate salary, and it brings his total take from 2 elected positions to just under $380,000.
Yeah, that's insane. Absolutely insane. So again, this dude is getting paid almost $400,000. $400,000, which I mean, I believe is probably more than the governor of Illinois. Okay, I think he's right up there with the president now in regards to salary, right? And again, this dude's the supervisor of a township, right, and a state senator. This dude's bringing in a lot of dough, and he went out of his way to try to change the law in order to allow himself to be compensated so much to be the supervisor of Thornton, because he knew that Tiffany Henyard was likely going to get voted out, right? So this dude participated in the ouster of Tiffany Henyard while at the same time using his power as a state senator to basically force the town to continue to pay an exorbitant salary for this supervisor position that he knew that it would be likely that he would be able to run for. Now, also on top of that, if you guys recall correctly, there was a lot of controversy about how they ran that election, right? That caucus that they had, a lot of people accused this dude of basically rigging the caucus against Tiffany Henyard by not allowing her supporters to show up for the caucus session.
Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard may lose her job because of some political maneuvering.
A Democratic caucus last night resulted in someone else being named the party's nominee.
Eric is in the newsroom with more. Eric?
Well, good morning. The Democratic Party decided to hold a caucus instead of a primary for Thornton Township Supervisor, the first time in decades. And Henyard and her slate of candidates lost that nomination. She's already saying the process was unfair. The meeting and caucus didn't take long last night to overwhelmingly nominate State Senator Napoleon Harris and his slate of candidates for Thornton Township Supervisor. Current Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, who is under fire and under investigation for her use of taxpayer money to fund trips and fancy dinners, called the process unfair and is protesting her loss.
How you ain't let the people be heard?
She left after losing the nomination, but her supporters did speak with WGN.
This is the biggest. This is the biggest. This is a fraud.
Henyard and her allies say her supporters weren't let into the building.
This is criminal. I would easily say hundreds of people that were not allowed in to be a part of the process.
It was State Senator Harris's decision and his decision alone as the Democratic committeeman to choose between a caucus and a primary. Harris dismissed Henyard's complaints about the process.
People were getting let in at the proper time. We had a caucus. And the people voted for a slate of candidates to represent them.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand the corruption that may or may not be going on here, okay? This guy seems to be a lot more slick when it comes to going about finessing taxpayers, more so than Tiffany Henyard, okay? He arguably had a hand in basically making the salary change permanent when it comes to the Thornton Township position, in which, again, you know, you're talking about getting paid $200,000+ because of his power as an individual within the Democrat Party. He was able to basically single-handedly determine that there was going to be a caucus election instead of a primary election, in which Tiffany Henyard accuses him of basically rigging the caucus against her, right, and rigging it in favor of himself. Again, after rigging the salary in favor of himself, knowing that he would likely be able to take this job. So, yeah, it seems like these residents, unfortunately, got another Tiffany Henyard, but probably got one that's a lot smarter, to be honest with you. But yeah, that seems to be what's going on here. It's kind of crazy.
$1,000. All of this in a community where many live below the poverty level and were forced to subsidize first-class travel, meals, and more under Tiffany Henyard's leadership.
This is the professional Democratic machine, tried and tested, and it appears that they have taken hold of Thornton Township.
Given what these residents have been through and what you campaigned on, don't give me the time, man, come on. Given what these residents have been through, do you think it's a good look for you to do some of the same stuff that you were critical of?
I was not critical of anything, man.
You weren't critical of Tiffany Henyard's reign?
I've never publicly despised anybody publicly. What I've done was, and I've stated this, I'm about doing the right thing and supporting what the people needs of Thornton Township, and I've done that. For you to say and sit here and suggest that anything has been improper or done wrong is not a fair assessment of what's happening.
Nearly $380,000 taxpayer dollars for two supposedly part-time positions. The big salary precedent in Thornton Township was set years ago by the late Supervisor Frank Zuccarelli. Before Napoleon Harris assumed the job in May, I asked him whether he'd keep the six-figure salary. He said, "Your worth should be evaluated based on what you deliver." Ben Bradley, WGN Investigates.
Yeah, well, he hadn't delivered anything yet. So again, two part-time jobs, and he's making $300,000+, almost $400,000 for two part-time jobs. Wow. You know, I would say I feel bad for these people, but I kind of don't, because at this point, you got to stop electing people based off skin color and race. I just got a feeling that, you know, this is one of those Lori Lightfoot, Brandon Johnson situations where you get rid of one for being bad and corrupt and terrible, and then you replace that person with somebody that's even worse, right? And that, to me, seems to be what's happening here, what's going on. But we'll see, right? We'll follow this story. We'll follow this guy. Because it seems as if these residents may have, again, elected somebody that's worse than Tiffany Henyard in the sense that he has more finesse in regards to going about his alleged corruption. But again, we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.